Hello and welcome back to the Shared Parenting channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to talk about something that has the power to change the way that we connect with other people. And I think some of you know this phrase, some of you know this phrase, but aren't super clear on what it means. And some of you may have never heard of it before, and that's totally fine too. So what we're going to talk about today is called emotional attunement. What is emotional attunement? Emotional attunement is the deep conscious effort to really understand and resonate with another person's emotions. So it's not just, oh yeah, I heard you. It's not just the words that we say back. It's not a script I can give you. It's about sensing the emotion behind the words that the other person is sharing with you. So you can kind of think of it as like tuning into their frequency. Um, when somebody says, yeah, I heard you, that's a very different feeling than, oh, I hear you. I feel you. Okay. I'm with you, right? Like I'm there. I'm in it. Um, you might wonder why it matters, or maybe the scope of why it matters. So the crux of secure attachment is in that emotional attunement. We have to create that emotional attunement with our children. We ideally are able to have that emotional attunement with our partners. And we actually have to have emotional attunement with us, which sounds so weird because obviously we are feeling our feelings. We know what we're feeling, except some of us actually don't. And some of us ignore our feelings and some of us feel things. And then we feel so much shame about feeling the feeling that we pretend we didn't feel the feeling. Some of us misidentify our feelings. Some of us never really had somebody that sat in the discomfort. So we rush out of our feelings as fast as we can, whether that's through intellectualizing or through denial or through coping with food, drugs, substances, dopamine, what have you. Um, it all has the same benefits. When we practice emotional attunement, we make other people or ourselves feel valued, understood, and supported. So, in the general population, everybody's distracted, right? It's really easy to be distracted. It's a lot harder to pull your attention into the energy field of another person or into yourself, where you're really tuning in to what your inner child needs to say or hear, or maybe what message is anger trying to let me know about? What is my anxiety warning me about, right? That attunement, that tuning in is incredibly powerful for security and closeness. So, if you want to learn how to practice emotional attunement, you're going to first bring get rid of the distractions. So take your phone, flip it over face down, right? Ideally leave it in another room, but I know that this is not always an ideal world. You want to listen with your whole body. Sounds weird. We listen with our ears. I get it. And we communicate way more with our body than we do with just our words. So you want to face the person that you're trying to attune with. You want to make eye contact unless the person doesn't want to make eye contact, but then look at their mouth. Look at their face in some capacity so that you are reading the little micro adjustments to their facial features. And you don't have to be some savant like the show Lie to Me, where you can actually articulate every little micro expression. You intuitively know how to read people's faces, right? It's a survival technique that we learn as infants. Is that an angry face or a happy face, right? And you'll get better at it. So you look at the person that you're trying to attune to. This is part of why we sometimes do self-work in the mirror. Um, this is why I have my clients bring up a baby photo so that they can look at, or a childhood photo, so they can actually look at the inner child that they're trying to communicate with. And give yourself a container, right? I am here to hear what you have to say. This is really important to me. You want to be in that moment, not trying to come up with an answer, not trying to guess what they're going to say. And I know as a neurospicy person, this can be challenging. If you really struggle, one technique that I've used is to repeat the last word that they said. So I am like following along, almost as if I'm dubbing my own video, right? Like I'm following along. I'm really focused on staying present. Whatever you do here, you want to validate the feelings behind it. Okay. So if somebody's feeling really frustrated, you might say, that sounds really frustrating. Or one I did the other day was, it's bringing up a lot of emotions, huh? Right? I couldn't quite read the emotion. I wasn't really sure, but I could tell there was emotion. And that opened the door for this person to then share, yeah, I actually am feeling a lot of emotions. And I'm not even super clear what I'm feeling. Let's like dig into that a little bit, right? Um, I can tell this is really important to you. Or, man, that sounds really tough. Yeah, I understand why you feel that way, of course. I might feel the same way too. Oh, shoot. That's tough. I'm sorry. Right? Some people hate the word I'm sorry. I don't think I'm ever going to stop using it. For me, in my engagements, it is an expression of empathy. It's, hey, I'm here with it, you. I can feel that it hurts and I'm with you in it. And I wish that you didn't have to hurt like this, right? That's what I mean when I say I'm sorry. You get to make it your own. You get to be authentic to you. So, however you respond, the people that are coming to you for this emotional attunement, they will either A, come to you because of how you emotionally attune to them, or B, they can give you feedback, right? So you can ask open-ended questions. This is really helpful with kids. Oh, yeah? Tell me more about that. Or, how'd you feel about that? Or how did that feel? Okay, all right. What do you think? Have any ideas? Right? Just open-ended. Let them talk through and process what's going on for them. Um, when you're doing this, you are keeping the proper differentiation so that their experience is theirs. You are being a support person. You're not trying to take over their experience. You're not trying to push their feelings away or override their feelings with your own. We have to be careful of our reactions, especially for the people that we care most about. It's not terribly uncommon for a parent to overreact. What? She said what to you? I can't believe that. I'm calling her mom right now. Well, now you've actually created an unsafety where this child who's trying to process something and feel a certain their own way, whatever that is, about the situation, they now have to manage your feelings because your feelings went to a level 10. So being mindful that it's not your turn yet. You might hear something and it is gobsmacking and you have to go talk to somebody to process it because it's so intense. I respect that. I get it. Parenting is hard, and some of the stuff that gets thrown at us you would never expect, right? You're also human. You may not be able to control the reaction, and it is what it is. But to the degree that you can, be mindful that your reaction isn't overriding your child's. Somebody at the park called me fat. Oh, what else happened? Well, they said that I was the fat kid and he was the skinny kid. Yeah. How did you feel about that? Well, I was the fat kid and he was the skinny kid. Oh, okay. Right. So, especially little kids, they will just blurt out words to describe things and they have no emotional attachment to it. And they don't mean anything negative by it. Now, could that go another way? Well, it really hurt my feelings because I really like this dress and she said it made me look fat and I don't think I look fat. Oh man, it sounds like that might have hurt when she said that. Yeah, I don't like her anymore. Fair enough. I can understand that. What do you want to do about it? Well, I want to tell her that she's not allowed to call me fat. That's fair. I think that's a good idea. Do you want to write it or do you want me to help you write it? Or do you want to tell her next time you see her? Or do you want to call her? Right? So you're letting them guide what they're looking to do in that situation. So many times, especially the older your kids get, they don't want you to solve the problem for them. They want you to hear them, to attune to them, to believe them and convey with your presence, I see you and I believe you. I can see that this is hard. I understand hard. And I'm not going to leave you in this alone. I will be with you through these hard things because at the same time, I believe in you. I know you can feel hard things. I know you can do hard things. I'm here. Does that make sense? Be patient with silence. We get very jittery when there's too much quiet. Put your finger in front of your mouth. Put your hand in front of your mouth. Bite a nail. Bite your tongue. All of these things can be signals to you to just let there be quiet for a moment. Let there be space for people to gather their thoughts, figure out what it is that they even are thinking. It can be very challenging to pair the emotional world with the language world. It's right brain and left brain, right? They're two different sides and they have to come together and coordinate. Children are not born with that connection at all, and they have to slowly develop it. That's why when they're really little, like 3 and under, we'll say things like, looks like you're feeling really mad right now. And often with a lot more enthusiasm than that. I get that. But oh man, that made you sad, huh? Right? And they're figuring it out. We're reflecting back to them. Um, when they get older, the way that we do that same thing, that same skill building, is to give them the time and the space to put it together to themselves like a puzzle. Same with even adults who didn't have that mirroring when they were children. They will need extra time and space to put those puzzle pieces together. There's nothing bad about silence and quiet. Just being in the space with somebody else's grief has a tremendous healing effect. Don't underestimate it. Okay. The goal with this emotional attunement is to build a bridge between you and the other person. You create trust, you create a sense of safety. There's emotional safety, there's mental safety, there's physical safety, there is spiritual safety, there's relational safety. All of the layers of safety can happen with emotional attunement. You create secure attachments, and that is the crux of all relationships. Okay. When somebody knows that you can emotionally attune with them, they are more likely to come back to you, to listen to you, to allow you to influence their thoughts and decisions in a positive way. And they are more likely, with that emotional attunement, to solve their own problems, to believe in themselves. So overall, emotional attunement is a skill, but it's also a way of being. And it will certainly take practice. It's not like anybody just wakes up and can do that. You get better and better and better the more you practice. If you are thinking about doing this in your relationship, ask for feedback, right? If you have an adult that you are practicing emotional attunement with, ask them, hey, when I shared that story of how I related to your circumstance, did you receive that as helpful or not? Because there is a battle, a debate going on in the social media world about whether that is empathizing or if it is like overshadowing. And I think it depends on the audience, right? If you jump into your own story and cut off the other person, well, yeah, that's a little showboaty and this isn't about you. But if your response is cocooned in this empathy, this attunement, where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Man, I do understand. Something similar happened with my family and it was awful, right? Sharing that relatability can be a cue of safety. It depends on the person though. So if a person is really sensitive to that, or they are just in a really vulnerable place and they do not have any capacity to also hold your emotions at the same time, that's okay. That happens in relationships. But you can start to learn who has the bandwidth, typically, and who doesn't, and build into your relationships the right to say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now, right? I'm at capacity. I can't be the one to hold this with you just yet. I need to regulate first, or I need to eat. Because I'll tell you what, my ability to be emotionally attuned to anybody when I'm hangry is much lower, right? So often as parents, when I talk about holding your kids' feelings with them, it is met with like, okay, but what do I do? Right? This is doing something. That's why there's a whole video on it. This is doing. It feels passive. There's not a craft or an activity. And the goal is not to make the feelings go away. The goal is to tune into the frequency and be in it together. I will be with you. I hear this is hard. I believe you, and I'm with you. And what happens when a person feels seen and heard and soothed and safe, they feel secure. Their body releases that energy and they're able to come down and regulate. And that is where the magic happens. The goal isn't to make their feelings go away. It's to make it safe enough for their body to process their feelings in the time that it needs. So I love emotional attunement. It's a core part of everything that we do here in Sure Parenting. And I am going to be creating a series of workshops where we practice getting more comfortable, becoming friends with, becoming allies with our anger, our anxiety, our grief. And when we do that, it becomes so much easier to hold space for those feelings when someone else is having them. So stay tuned. I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. You can send me an email, sammy@sureparenting.com. And if you need some help in this area right now, I do have group coaching spots available in Create Your Sure Family, which is available on my website, sureparenting.com. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.